Mr. Speaker, you know what helps families is good-paying jobs.
Can the Prime Minister give us even one example of a tariff that his international meetings have succeeded in reducing?
They can't believe people are talking about losing our purchasing power, about a third referendum, about a Quebec currency, at a time when the American president is threatening Canada's sovereignty. According to her own logic, should Canada not give up its own currency and start using American currency?
This guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
Oral questions, questions orales, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Canadians are paying the price for this Prime Minister through record-high grocery and housing cost inflation, but he wants them to pay even more. He's doubled Justin Trudeau's deficit, the biggest deficit in Canadian history outside of COVID, $16 billion bigger than he promised, shattering his other promise to reduce the debt to GDP ratio. And the bureaucracy is taking the lion's share, 80% more costly when these Liberals took office. The Liberal House Leader said just yesterday there will only be minimal reductions in the bureaucracy. Why must starving Canadians pay to feed this bureaucracy rather than feeding their families?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, you know what helps families is good-paying jobs. And that's why we have had such a tremendous response to this budget, including from the building trades unions, Mr. Speaker, who said that they're grateful to all parliamentarians who supported the federal budget and acted in the best interests of Canadians. So I guess that doesn't include the Conservatives who voted against those very Canadians they say they stand up for.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Prime Minister is beginning yet another costly photo op tour. It's time to start asking for the results of the more than 20 international trips, the 150,000 kilometers, enough to circle the globe 4 times. It would be great if he were actually getting something done. But he met with the Americans. They doubled tariffs on our products. He met with the Chinese. They hit us with new tariffs on our farmers and fish harvesters. He met with the Indians. They've hit us with new tariffs on Canadian peas. The British are still blocking our beef. Can the Prime Minister give us even one example of a tariff that his international meetings have succeeded in reducing?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
The opposition has been in this House for more than 20 years, but not much to show. Here's what we've accomplished in the last few months in trade. We've signed new trade deals with Ecuador, with Indonesia. We advanced trade discussions with ASEAN, Philippines, Thailand, wrapping up.
Again, it was a bit too noisy. Could the Honourable Minister continue, please?
We've signed new trade deals with Ecuador, Indonesia. We're advancing trade negotiations with ASEAN, Philippines, Thailand, wrapping up a FIFA with the UAE. We have legislation before this House to expand our trade ties with the UK. Together, these countries represent 750 million potential consumers. While the Prime Minister is opening doors for workers and businesses, the other side is focused on shutting them shut. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
All that adds up to not a single tariff reduced in the Prime Minister's 8 months of traveling the globe. And now let's move on to his costly agenda on pipelines. In June of 2014, the Conservative government approved a pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific. November 29, 2016, this Liberal government canceled that pipeline, ordering the Energy Board to dismiss it. March 27, 2021, this current Liberal Prime Minister said that he supported cancelling the pipeline. Will the Prime Minister admit that he was wrong, that his Liberal government was wrong, and the Conservatives were right? We need a pipe to the Pacific now.
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister and the Premier have publicly stated they're having productive discussions on advancing an MOU between Canada and Alberta. They have each stated those discussions are premised on building a pathways decarbonization project, strengthening the industrial carbon price, and receiving support from affected First Nations and jurisdictions. When the Prime Minister and the Premier are ready to make an announcement, they will to all Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, we're hoping the Prime Minister will announce that he was wrong and that the Liberal government was wrong. to kill the Northern Gateway pipeline that had been approved back in 2014. 9 years have since been lost after the Liberal government blocked it. However, they also put in a ban on shipping Canadian energy off the northwest coast of BC. So if there's a pipeline, while the Liberal ban remains in place, it would have to be a pipeline to nowhere. So will the Prime Minister admit that the Liberal government was wrong to ban Canadian energy shipping and scrap the ban so that we can pipe our product over to Asia?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, in those long, barren Harper years where this member was a minister, the only pipeline that got built was the pipeline full of hot air that led to nothing, not a single energy exporting tidewater piece of energy infrastructure was ever constructed under a Conservative government. We've built one. You just heard the minister talking about a process on another. Mr. Speaker, you want to vote for energy security, you want to vote for energy exports, you want to vote for major projects and opportunity in this country, you should cast a Liberal vote.
Has been exposed today, but his loyalty to federal Liberals makes him say some bizarre things. Can he explain to us how a hypothetical possible Quebec currency would put us in Donald Trump's hands? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Listen, I'm happy that the member is speaking to the Parti Québécois' new idea for a Quebec currency because Quebecers are very worried. They can't believe people are talking about losing our purchasing power, about a third referendum, about a Quebec currency at a time when the American president is threatening Canada's sovereignty. It's shocking that some are proposing weakening Quebec and handing the reins over to Pierre Saint-Paul Plamondon so he can make a currency. It makes no sense, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. We can hear the ghosts of Jean Chrétien and Jean Charest visiting us here at Parliament. It's clear that the stronger the country, the stronger its currency. So the member could, if she would like, do an internship with the member for Mirabel. But here's my question. According to her own logic, should Canada not give up its own currency and start using American currency? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, this is fictional politics, but fine, because it helps people in all party caucuses to understand what's going on within the Bloc Québécois caucus and the Parti Québécois caucus in Quebec. One thing is clear, we have 44 Quebec MPs. We will do our utmost to defend our economy. We will invest in jobs, and we will ensure that at the end of the day, Canada's sovereignty is even stronger, Mr. Speaker.
Every time the Prime Minister flies out of this country for another glittering photo op, things get worse for Canadians. He went to China and came back with more tariffs on Canadian canola. He went to the U.S., came back with double the tariffs on cars and triple the tariffs on steel and aluminum, and now the two sides aren't even talking. And then he went to the U.K. and he still couldn't land a basic deal for our pork and beef farmers. Why is it that every time the Prime Minister boards a plane, Canadians get sacked with a bigger bill?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party should ask the question in reverse. Why is it when the Leader of the Opposition flies out of this city to far-flung places across our vast and grand land, his polling results go down every single time, and then he lands at a great Canadian airport, Mr. Speaker? The Deputy Leader should demand more of her Leader, should demand bigger results of her Leader. The Deputy Leader needs to step up, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
A lecture from a government that cannot close a deal on canola. They cannot close a deal on softwood lumber, on autos, on on steel, on aluminum, on basically every export that is the backbone of the Canadian economy. The Prime Minister sold Canadians hope and he didn't deliver. And then he used that broken trust as a reason to collect more stamps in his own passport. He's jet setting on another taxpayer-funded vacation to Dubai, where jobs in Windsor and Oshawa are going south. Is the Prime Minister obsessed with foreign travel because he likes spending other people's money, or is it that he just can't face Canadians at home?
The Honourable Secretary of State to the Minister of Finance.
Forget Canada has a AAA credit rating. Inflation has been within the Bank of Canada target range for almost 2 years. Interest rates are down. Job numbers are exceeding expectations. And Budget 2025 makes generational investments that the head of the International Monetary Fund welcomes. These investments will pay dividends to Canadians over generations in the form of good-paying jobs, affordable homes, thriving and productive industries, resilient supply chains, infrastructure that connects our country and enables diverse trade. The only question is, why do the Conservatives not believe in Canada?
The Honourable Member for Chilliwack Hope.
In just 8 months, this Prime Minister has flown the friendly skies nearly 70 times on 28 different trips and burned through enough jet fuel to fly the equivalent of 4 times around the Earth. Wow. And what does he have to show for all of his gallivanting around in a private jet? Just expensive photo ops, empty announcements, and no real results for Canadian workers. Not only have these trips failed to get the deals he promised, but tariffs and costs for Canadians seem to go higher each time he takes off. Why doesn't the Prime Minister stop his flights of fancy and start making life more affordable for Canadians here at home?
The Honourable Minister for Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, instead of talking down the economy, why don't they join us and build this economy up? Look, let's see what we can agree on. Can we agree that we want to lower taxes for Canadians? This budget did it. They voted against it. Can we agree we want to support innovators, small business and entrepreneurs? This budget did it. They voted against it. But don't take my word for it. Just today, I was speaking with the Canadian manufacturers and exporters, and they represent 10,000 businesses. This budget makes meaningful steps to support manufacturers under pressure. Mr. Speaker, they should join us. Build Canada.
The Honourable Member for Chilliwack Hope.
Well, Mr. Speaker, while fancy art dealers and high-flying people like the Prime Minister are living their best life, here on the ground a record number of Canadians are using the food bank and struggling to heat their homes. They don't get to leave their troubles behind by jumping on a private jet. These swanky trips have done nothing for the tens of thousands of steel, auto and softwood lumber workers who have lost their jobs and the millions more who are living with uncertainty due to the Prime Minister's broken promises on tariffs. Why doesn't the Prime Minister spend less time on fancy travel and more time focusing on making life more affordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Unlike the members opposite, Mr. Speaker, Canadians know that we need to invest in ourselves, and that's exactly why they've supported this government and why they support this budget, Mr. Speaker. From building trades unions to the YMCA to Canada Food Banks to a variety of different stakeholders that have advocated for the programs and the approach in this budget, people are happy, Mr. Speaker. They're happy with a government that has ambition on their behalf. And Mr. Speaker, we're not going to stop because we are creating the jobs of today and tomorrow.
This Prime Minister's costly credit card budget piles today's reckless spending onto tomorrow's taxpayers. Credit card agency Fitch says that the Liberals repeatedly blow past their own fiscal anchors, putting our credit rating at risk. Even the Parliamentary Budget Officer is sounding the alarm on this financial mess. How many more warnings will it take for this Prime Minister to rein in his out-of-control spending?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, trusting advice from the Conservative leader on this budget is like trusting a weatherman's forecast who lives inside a snow globe. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are standing with Canada. People from Carleton knew it, Progressive Conservatives leaders knew it, and Canadians knew it. It's time for the Conservatives to get real about this budget, support us building the strongest economy in the G7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Gateway.
Mr. Speaker, the fact is, Canadians are putting nearly 50% more of their expenses on credit cards than they did in 2015. Monthly food bank visits have smashed all-time records with 2 million Canadians a month visiting the food bank. Families that used to once donate to the food bank are now standing in line waiting for help. This Liberal government has made everything more expensive. When will this Prime Minister stop his out-of-control spending, which makes everything more unaffordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, last election, NDP supporters, Green supporters, and so many progressive Conservatives stood with us to form a new party, to form a bold vision for this country. Mr. Speaker, we went from coast to coast to coast. We listened to Canadians. We came forth with a transformational budget that will build our economy in the strongest economy in the G7. It's time for the members opposite to stop the rhetoric, stop the slogan, stand with us, build a strong economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Aurora Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's costly credit card budget loads today's reckless spending onto tomorrow's taxpayers. After 10 years of these tired Liberals, Canadians are putting nearly 50% more of their expenses on their credit cards since 2015. The parliamentary fiscal watchdog is ringing the alarm bells, saying, with Budget 2025, the government abandoned the previous fiscal anchor to reduce the federal debt-to-GDP ratio over the medium term. No wonder the costly Prime Minister wants to fire him. How many more fiscal watchdog reports is it going to take, Mr. Speaker, for this Prime Minister to rein in his costly credit card spending?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, let me talk about the people in my riding, like seniors who are benefiting from this budget. When I talk to them, I hear about dental care and them saving $800 a year. I hear about our New Horizons program for seniors, supporting projects that affect seniors' quality of life. I hear about $5 billion going to healthcare and hospital infrastructure in this budget. And most importantly, I hear about a Health Heroes tax credit benefiting PSWs who are the heart and soul of care in our communities. But don't take my word for it, Mr. Speaker. SEIU Healthcare President Tyler Downey says we're putting more money directly into the pockets of PSWs will support retention and strengthen care.
The Honourable Member for Aurora Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, in one costly budget, these high-spending liberals have managed to max out our great-grandchildren's credit cards. The Parliamentary Fiscal Watchdog isn't the only one ringing alarm bells, Mr. Speaker. Fitch Credit Ratings, the agency that gives the government its credit score, says that since the Liberal government frequently blows through its fiscal anchors, federal finances run a high risk of further deterioration. Fitch is concerned. The Parliamentary Fiscal Watchdog is sounding the alarm. How many more fiscal watchdog reports is it going to take for this Prime Minister to rein in his
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me keep going. Let me talk about the youth in Toronto St. Paul's, because this side of the House knows that our economic future depends on them. That's why we're saying whatever your ambition is to Canada's youth, whether it's to shape the future of AI, whether it's to join the Climate Corps, whether it's to make a great Canadian film, whether it's to study higher education or work in the skilled trades, this budget is helping young Canadians from their first summer job all the way through that career-starting, lifelong career that they're going to have. Don't take my word for it. Let's talk about the YMCA, who says that paid skilled training in this budget is going to strengthen resilience in our...
For Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
Sometimes you're trying to choose between bills and feeding your kids. That's a direct quote from Thunder Bay mom Cassandra Shedden, who relies on formula to feed her infant child. She describes rummaging around her house, looking for things to sell just so she can put formula in her baby's bottle. Why won't the Prime Minister do something so that parents can afford to buy baby formula?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, nobody should have to feel the fear that Cassandra feels. But I will note what Cassandra also said. She said she could hardly wait till the Canada Child Benefit arrived on the 20th of each month because it helped her feed her baby as she lived on Ontario disability, Mr. Speaker. And that member voted against temerity to stand up and quote in this House.
Member for Fort McMurray, Cold Lake.
Since 2017, inflation on baby formula is double what it is in the U.S. Double. We are overly reliant on imported infant formula, and we only have one plant in Canada, which means every single tax on transportation, every supply chain disruption, every single tariff threat hits Canadian families harder. This is due to a lack of any kind of action from any of these Liberals for the last 10 years. Will they finally make this a priority so that parents can afford to feed their babies formula?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Maybe the member didn't read the article where the Canada Research Chair, Ms. Leslie Frank, said that the Canada Child Benefit should be increased, which, by the way, it is every year, Mr. Speaker, because it's pegged to inflation, where the experts said that formula should be produced in Canada. In this budget, we have money for innovation in agriculture, Mr. Speaker. How does that member think that Canada will be able to do anything if she votes against Canadians' interests time and time again?
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray, Cold Lake.
What's deeply wrong is the fact that parents are waiting every single day for those checks just so they can afford to put groceries on the table. What is deeply wrong is that mothers are begging strangers online for money just so they can afford to buy baby formula. What's deeply wrong is that parents are resorting to buying opened bottles and cases of formula, powdered formula, just so they can feed their kids. This is because of this government's lack of action. So will they actually do something other than just create more bureaucracy? We need action.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, members like that one with the fake outrage as their colleagues stand up and vote against the very mother.
The Honourable Minister.
Just the other day, the member from Bowmanville, Oshawa North, suggested that hungry children should go without because parents should be able to afford to feed their kids. Well, you know what, Mr. Speaker, I have a newsflash. Single mothers like I were in my day needed all the help we could get, and that's what we do for moms every single day in this House.
The Honourable Member for Lethbridge.
This is from a minister who is completely out of touch with Canadians, who are struggling day in and day out to be able to afford the very basic necessities of life. Meanwhile, the members across the way heckle me while Canadians struggle and are going to the food bank in droves. That is because of this government's mismanagement, and they can do something about it. And one of the things that they can do about it is actually scrapping the fuel tax, which would bring down the cost of groceries. Why is this government hell-bent on keeping the fuel tax and making sure that Canadians cannot afford basic necessities?
The Honourable Minister.
The member opposite fails to acknowledge is that she voted against every measure that helps single mothers right now, every single day, whether it's fees reduced by early learning and childcare, whether it's access to dental care for children that don't have dental care benefits, whether it's fighting against school food, Mr. Speaker. These Conservatives stand up, they say they feel the pain of moms, especially single moms, but when push comes to shove, they vote against them time and again.
The Honourable Member for Lethbridge.
So what she is saying is that through socialist programs, Canadians can be provided for. That Canadians shouldn't be able to make ends meet on
There's nothing unparliamentary about that word. The Honourable Member for Lethbridge, from the top.
Food prices in this country have risen by 40%, which is way higher than 40% faster than the United States of America, which goes to prove that it has a whole lot to do with this government and its socialist policies. Now, Stats Canada shows that 17%, chicken is up 6%, apples is up 4%, and baby formula is up 6%. The most stolen item in a grocery store because parents are desperate due to this government's mismanagement. So, folks are suffering. I hosted a town hall last week. Their faces, their stories came forward. These are more than stats, folks. What will this government do about it?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's why I'm so proud to be a Liberal, because Liberals believe in helping each other. We believe that when a single mom is having a tough time, we should be there for her. We believe that when a family's down on their luck, we should have an employment insurance program that helps people out when they lose their job. We believe that when people can't access dental care for sometimes up to 20 years and live in pain, we should do something about that as a country. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? That's what Canadians believe. It's why we're known for our universal health care system, Mr. Speaker, because we care about each other.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon University.
This Liberal government is the most expensive in Canadian history. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians, driving up the cost of everything. Year after year, food costs have gone up, and the Liberals want you to pay more for their food packaging taxes. The Liberal tax on food costs Canadians an additional $5.6 billion a year. Wow. Driving up costs for fresh produce by over 34%. Why is this Prime Minister keeping the food packaging tax and making everything more expensive for struggling Canadians?
Colleagues, all the member did was stand up. And it's not, I mean, come on. The Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Mr. Speaker, for 10 long years, I've been telling the people of Saskatchewan that as a result of what the mismanagement under Stephen Harper, Mr. Speaker, this government spent the last 10 years cleaning up Harper's mess, Mr. Speaker, so we can go on a bold new journey, Mr. Speaker. $51 billion set aside to help Canada build their communities. That's an impressive amount of money, Mr. Speaker. The Saskatchewan MP should wake up, vote for the budget, and back up Saskatchewan, Mr. Speaker.
Since these Liberals took power, extortion is up 330% in Canada. There have been 100 reported extortions already in Surrey, Abbotsford, and Delta. The Prime Minister recently visited British Columbia, and he said nothing about this pressing problem. So the question is this: why are these Liberals allowing extortions to run rampant, whether it be in Calgary, Windsor, Surrey, or Brampton? Why?
Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this House has before it measures contained in Bill C2 that would give the police long-requested abilities to prevent and to catch extortionists and criminals in our country. The Conservatives, and the Conservatives alone, stood in the way of those particular measures and demanded their removal from C2. That member needs to talk to his whip, talk to his leader, get out of the way of law enforcement, stop extortion in this country. That member needs to stand for law and order.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola.
Talk is cheap, actions speak louder than words, Mr. Speaker. That minister needs to look in the mirror. That member, Mr. Speaker, voted against a Conservative bill to put extortionists in jail. That member voted for house arrest for people who do extortion with a firearm. That member voted to repeal mandatory jail time for extortion with a firearm. Talk about being out of touch. Talk about missing the boat on justice, Mr. Speaker. When will they get on board and tackle extortion across this country? When?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, our government is taking
taking real action to stop those who commit extortion. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives, on the other hand, have failed to make sure that these measures, like lawful access, a measure that every single law enforcement agency, every single police association have been asking for. They've been asking the Conservative Party to step up and to ensure that Bill C-2 is passed with lawful access. I urge the member opposite, who is my critic, to step forward today and to ensure that lawful access becomes law.